Hello again, friends. Welcome to Gamecock Central Radio. It's Emerson Phillips, joined by Gamecock Central staff writer Collyn Taylor, and we're talking football here in late February. Collyn, Gamecocks spring practice getting underway on Wednesday, February the 28th. So practice opened today, Collyn, and you were there for the first three periods. So talk about the start of spring ball here. Hard to believe it's February 28th, and we're talking Gamecock football.
Yeah, I know, right? We feel like we just ended the season not too long ago, and that's actually kind of right, less than 2 months. We had Gamecocks back on the practice field today, kind of getting an early start, a head start on preparing for the 2018-2019 year, and that's kind of the way Muschamp likes it. He wants to give players an added month at the end of spring practice to kind of rehab from any injuries and nicks and scrapes and bruises they might have gotten, and it helps in recruiting too because they're the only spring game on March 31st this year when it is. So they won't be competing with Georgia or Florida and getting kids to campus. So that's pretty important. But yeah, they got out there today. They were running around. Brian McClendon joked today that they may not know where they're going, but they're running around. So it's kind of an exciting time getting a few playmakers on campus for this team.
Will Muschamp spoke to the media for about a half an hour yesterday, Collyn. There was a boatload of information to come out of that press conference. Muschamp said the Gamecocks will wear helmets on the first two practices, Wednesday and Friday of this week, and then they'll wear pads Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday before breaking for spring break. And he talked about the fact that the Gamecocks had 14 off-season workouts leading up to the start of spring ball here, and he talked about Jeff Dillman and the strength staff and what an important role they play.
Yeah, and they've been working. They got back from winter break after the Outback Bowl and immediately started into winter workouts and 5 a.m. lifts, things like that. So and even the early enrollees, the guys that came in January, are working hard there too and trying to get kind of up to speed and get their conditioning right for college football. So yeah, this is kind of, and then once they finish up spring practice, then they'll go right back into summer workouts and lifting and conditioning and things like that to make sure they're kind of up to snuff once fall camp starts. So yeah, Muschamp's been very complimentary of where they do a lot of analytical measurements of speed and lateral quickness, and said that number's kind of gotten closer to where they hope it should be at this point in the year, and that's a lot to do with recruiting and a lot to do with the strength and conditioning staff at Williams-Brice.
Muschamp said he told the players before the off-season workout started back in January that the 2018 season starts now. He said it starts in January. It will not start in August for the start of fall camp. He said, so go ahead and get your mind right and get ready to begin preparation for 2018 right now in January, and now here in late February, spring practice already underway. So, Collyn, a couple of players will not fully participate in spring ball, and those are Bryson Allen Williams and Jalen Dickerson. Both will wear the non-contact yellow jersey. They will participate in spring ball, but they will not participate in full contact.
Yeah, and we saw them today kind of going through different drills. Bryson Allen Williams was doing some stuff on the bags and footwork drills, and Dickerson was doing about the same thing with the defensive back group. So good signs for South Carolina. Both guys are going to play pretty significant snaps this year if healthy. So that's a big thing. And, the coaches know kind of what they're getting out of those players. So it's about kind of making sure they're healthy and getting their bodies right. That way they're ready once, August rolls around for fall camp.
Muschamp said that Taven Jackson and Shi Smith are both limited this spring. Jackson's got a hamstring, Shi Smith with an ankle, but nothing serious there, and both are expected back within a couple of days. 5 players are out for spring ball: Ernest Jones, Jamias Williams, Aaron Thompson, Levante Valentine, and Anton Wilder. And Muschamp also said that Mon Denson should return after spring break. He's expected to be cleared after spring break, which will be week after next. And a couple of transfers as well to talk about. Collyn?
Yeah, and, C.J. Freeman's kind of another one, and a guy that's, had some pretty unfortunate injuries over his career at South Carolina with his ACL, and was pretty talented coming in. I believe Jared Washington's the next one, and they'll both transfer at the semester's end. And then Jared Washington, I think Muschamp said he'll graduate and start an internship this summer and work toward finally getting his degree. And finishing up his academic requirements and move on after that.
Gamecock football report today. Emerson Phillips with Collyn Taylor here on Gamecock Central Radio. Collyn, Muschamp talked about position changes as well, and this was part of the nuts and bolts of his press conference on Tuesday this week, and he talked about Zach Bailey first and foremost. Bailey has played different positions on the line. Looks like he's going to be at left guard in 2018.
Yeah, and Zach Bailey is probably the most important piece of South Carolina's offensive line and has been for now going on 4 years, just because he plays every position. He's played center, he's played guard, and he's played tackle. And now he knows what to expect in terms of what everyone else has to do. And so he's a valuable addition. I think that now it's about getting, 4 guys around him that can succeed too. And I think that, they're moving in that direction. Cedarius Hutchinson is going to be the number guard. Donald Stanley's taking snaps at center. And then you have the 2 tackles, Blake Camper and Dennis Daly, who are going to right now be the starters moving forward. So, Zach Bailey's obviously the linchpin in that, and he kind of makes them tick on the offensive line just because of how smart, knowledgeable, and experienced he is.
The first 5 on the offensive line, Collyn, Donnell Stanley at center, Zach Bailey and Cedarius Hutchinson at guard, and Blake Camper, Dennis Daly at tackle. All 5 have played extensively. They've all gotten a lot of playing time, particularly last year, and Bailey, going back a couple of 3 years. But Muschamp said that his biggest concerns for the 2018 team are depth on the offensive line. Outside of those first 5, not a lot of depth, not a lot of experience. And he also mentioned safety, another concern. That was a problem going into last year.
Yeah, and, on the offensive line, we got to watch them take reps today, and they're going to be working on a couple of, redshirt guys. Eric Douglas, Jordan Carty, and Jordan Rhodes are all 3 guys that, are pretty large human beings that can help out. And, they've been repping with kind of the second team. Then you saw Hank Manos and Wyatt Campbell taking some snaps at offensive line too. So they have their starting 5. They have what they think is the best 5 right now. Now it's just about kind of developing the guys behind them just in case something does happen moving forward. And at safety right now, it's just about inexperience. You lose DJ Smith and Chris Lamont to graduation. You just don't have a lot of guys returning. Taven Jackson and Jalen Dickerson are 2 guys they feel that could help there. You have Israel Mukamu that'll play cornerback, but right now it's just about getting some of the new signees and guys that haven't played before reps there, so they you can never replicate Saturday's atmosphere, but kind of get them up to speed on what maybe to expect and kind of get them up to snuff to where they want them to be this spring.
Muschamp talked about QB reps. He was asked about the backup position, and looks like Jay Ulrich is there along with the freshman Dakarian Joyner out of Fort Dorchester High School, the much ballyhooed low country product who had a fantastic high school career at Fort D and, was one of the centerpieces of the Gamecocks' most recent signing class. But Jake Bentley obviously firmly entrenched as the starter. Bentley played every snap this past year, Collyn, just about. So what does Dakarian Joyner bring to the table, and what kind of role might he and Jay Urich have, if any, this year? Or will Bentley take all the snaps again this year?
I think ideally you would like to have Jake Bentley take all the snaps because that means he's healthy. I think Scarnecchia, who was the backup last year, is, I guess, the incumbent there. But Jay Urich's not far behind. He redshirted last year. He's a guy that is athletic. We haven't seen him throw a whole lot just because he hasn't played all that much. But I think he could come in and be the backup right away. And as for Joyner, Joyner's speedy. He's athletic. He put up, some phenomenal numbers in high school. And, I think he's still trying to work on developing as a passer and developing kind of his pocket presence in college because, he was a very scat kind of quarterback in high school. And it's harder to do that at the next level where everyone's just as fast as you are. So I think that he's going to need to develop more as a passer if he really wants to kind of get on the field his freshman year. But, if he can do that, that's great. And I think that the Gamecocks would be more than happy to redshirt him and kind of give him a year to kind of get things under his belt and, adjust to college before trying to go out there and, win SEC football games.
Brian McClendon, the Gamecocks' new offensive coordinator, promoted to that position after the bowl win over Michigan. McClendon obviously called the plays during that bowl game, and he was promoted to the offensive coordinator position full-time after the game. So he talked to the media this week as well, Collyn, and he said that, he doesn't intend to scrap everything with the old offense. He said a lot of the verbiage is the same, but he will try to tweak it as he sees fit so that he can get the most out of the Gamecock offense. So talk about what we can expect to see from this Brian McClendon offense in 2018.
Well, he talked today about wanting to move fast. He said he wanted to be in the top 4 or 5 in the SEC in plays per game, and said that the more plays you run, the better chances you have of, scoring points and putting up yardage. And he equated it to at-bats in baseball. So I think you're going to see a fast offense. I think you're going to see an offense that wants to move the ball quickly down the field and get off as many plays as they can in a game. And he said that he wants them to have an attack mindset going forward, to just put defenses on their heels and go straight at them. So I think that's kind of what you can expect. And I think right now he's trying to tweak the offense and get players into that mindset to wanting to score kind of at will this season.
A lot of Gamecock football in the news this week with the start of spring practice on Wednesday, February 28th. Collyn, what else stood out from the Muschamp press conference yesterday? He went for half an hour. He talked more yesterday than he does during the regular season.
Yeah, and, Will Muschamp's he's always I wouldn't say he always likes to talk, but, you get him talking about football and, he can go on for days. So he mentioned yesterday that the newcomers the guys that are enrolled early are going to have a chance to compete for some starting spots and playing time right away. So they're going to throw them into the ocean and see what happens. So, I would be on the lookout this spring, and especially if you're going to the spring game, to see which newcomers kind of get first or second team reps, or get reps with kind of the starters from last year. So that's the biggest thing I think moving forward is kind of Muschamp, I guess, going over and looking at what he has in terms of his freshman class and what they can kind of bring to the table early.
So 15 practices for the Gamecocks during this spring practice period. The pro timing day will be coming up on Tuesday, March the 20th, and the annual Garnet and Black spring game will be held on Saturday, March the 31st. So, Collyn, we're going to have a lot more football talk to come in the next month or so here on Gamecock Central Radio. It's a lot of fun. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
All right, that's Collyn Taylor, our staff writer from Gamecock Central, and I'm Emerson Phillips. We'll have more Gamecock football talk here on Gamecock Central Radio. Thanks for checking in with us.